In this video, you'll hear true horror stories that happened on New Year's Eve where celebrations turned into terrifying experiences. It took place on New Year's Eve in 2017. I was going home by plane after finishing a term at the University of Rochester. I'm from Ohio, just outside of Cleveland. For personal reasons, I had to stay at school for a week after the semester finished. This meant that I spent Christmas mostly by myself. Even though the flight itself was fine, I was already in a bad mood when I got on. I really liked the Browns, and while I was at the airport, they lost their last game of the regular season, making them 0-16 in blank. As a fan for life, it was a special kind of pain. I believe we were the first team since the 1980s or so to go a whole season without a win. On top of that, my flight was late, which destroyed the plans my family had for the night. At first, we were all meant to drive to my cousin's house for a New Year's Eve party and stay the night. But because of the delay, my parents left early in the main car. I had to drive the extra car by myself. To make things right with me, my mom left our golden dog, Vera, behind to be with me. I didn't want to go on the trip by myself, but Vera was always fun to be with. I chose to make the most of it. It was getting close to 10 o'clock when my Uber picked me up at the airport. I didn't even open the boxes. I threw everything I owned into the car, got Vera, locked the door, and hit the road. It wasn't a very interesting drive, just miles of back roads in Ohio that wound through empty fields and forests. There was only a small dusting of snow on the ground, which was nice 'cause I hate driving in the snow. But it was very dark. The only light I could see was from my headlights and the porch. Light of a farmhouse that I would sometimes see in the distance. Vera began to whine about halfway through the trip. I thought she was just trying to get my attention at first, but then she got up and started moving in the passenger seat. That's when I knew she had to go to the bathroom. It made me sad that the only thing I could do was pull over. The next area I found wasn't very big, just big enough for the car, but it would do. I remember telling myself that it was really dark outside. Sometimes there were white snowflakes in the woods that made it possible for me to see what was going on there. I put my hands in my pockets and did my best not to freeze to death. Like any good golden retriever, Vera didn't seem to mind that it was cold or dark. I didn't even try to leash her when I let her out. She took her time and sniffed around the tree's edges, just far enough for her to go to the bathroom. And that's when I heard it. A loud crash sound came from somewhere in the woods all of a sudden. There was more than one branch breaking. It sounded like someone or something was moving through the woods. The noise was so loud that it made me jump. That's exactly what it sounded like, a grown man running through the trees. The darkness made it hard to see anything past the first few trees, so I had to squint to see what was there. Vera ran straight into the woods before I could respond. I'm telling you, it was like the worst fear. I lost sight of her in an instant as she went into the trees. I called her name a lot of times, but she never came back. It was hard for me to breathe at that point because my heart was beating so fast. It wasn't better because it was cold. I had to keep her safe and couldn't leave her out there. I ran into the woods without thinking and yelled for her to come back. I did not want to think about what she was after, so I just ran and let my energy take over. My dim phone flashlight and the thin layer of snow on the ground were the only lights that could help me. It was so dark that I almost hit some trees as I ran. As I ran, I prayed that I would find her before she caught up to whatever was inside. After running until my lungs gave out from the cold, I had to stop. I almost fell over from being so tired that I leaned against a tree and felt like I was going to break down. I really had no idea what to do. Then I finally saw her. She was trembling and hunched over as she walked slowly toward me. Her tail was tucked between her legs very close together. That was the first time I had ever seen her that way. I got down on my knees and hugged her. I felt a flood of relief. I could feel her shaking as she pressed against me. She was scared by something. That's when I woke up and realized how bad things were. There was still something out there in the woods where we were. As soon as I stood up, I told Vera to follow me. She did what I told her to do this time and stayed by my side like her life depended on it. I wasn't sure if I was going the right way when we turned around to go back to the car. Things were already pretty bad when I heard something crash from behind me. I almost passed out. I did not stop to think. I began running. Vera ran ahead of me and I hurried after her, hoping not to trip. The sound of breaking things didn't stop. It looked like it was following us this time. That time I was so scared I can't even describe it. I really thought I was going to die. Somehow, Vera led me right back to the car where I slammed the door shut and almost threw her inside. I couldn't help but feel sick as I jumped into the driver's seat and looked back at the woods. 3 people were standing at the edge of the woods and watching us. I slammed the keys into the ignition and sped off. I kept going. I barely slowed down. I was still shocked. I didn't notice Vera was bleeding until I had driven a few miles. As soon as I saw the cut just below her shoulder blade, I became scared. She had been stabbed. I slammed on the brakes and ran around the car to get to the trunk. My mom always made sure that every car had a first aid kit, and this time, her insistence on being too ready paid off. I used tissue to clean Vera's cut as best I could. It made her cry and I thought I was hurting her, but I knew I was doing the right thing. I felt myself start to calm down for the first time since the series began. It was over. I tried not to think about it the rest of the way, but I was so shocked that something like that had happened to me. I didn't tell my parents or other family members in the end. It seemed like something you should keep to yourself for some reason. Thanks for sticking with us. Like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Stay tuned because the next horror story could give you chills like never before.